project playing time at this point in time, but how difficult is it going to be to keep Corey Robinson off the field this year?
I don't think it'll be difficult at all. I think he'll have a role. He's not a complete player, certainly yet. Physically, he's still growing, but I don't think it takes anybody too long to figure out that he's got a great catching radius, and if you put the ball in the right position, he can go up and get it. So, but again, it'll be a role, but he's not going to be out there, playing every snap, but he'll definitely be able to contribute.
Brian, just the personnel frontline guys, Spahn, Jackson, and Hanratty.
Yeah, and this isn't a policy, so I want to be clear. I'm not setting a new policy, but we're in camp, and we're going to have guys in and out of the lineup, Pete, every day. And here's what I will tell you: if there's a guy that has a significant injury that will impact his playing time versus Temple, I will let you know. None of those guys are at a point where they're even close to being in that situation. So we have your typical turned ankle, we've got a neck sprain, we've got a back, we've got those kinds of scenarios. And one day they're in and one day they're out. So I would prefer, as we go through camp, if there's something significant, I'll report it to you, and I'll be up front with you and let you know. If they're in jeopardy of missing playing time against Temple, I'll let you know. But we've got a variety of different things, and I'll leave here, and Rob's going to give me 3 guys that won't go tomorrow morning, and none of those guys are significant.
Brian, I saw a lot of Fox and Calabrese together. Is that something you envision moving forward with, and then where does that leave Grace's role?
Oh, they're all going to be that's a fluid situation with all of those guys playing in there and getting reps. Fox, Calabrese, Grace, all of them. It won't be a 2-person rotation. That's 3 right now, and who knows? It could be 4.
When the running back position shakes out, what are you going to see? What's going to grab your attention on that guy that's going to be the number 1, the number 2? What are they going to do? What are they going to show you?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, the ability first and foremost to run the football within our schemes and how we want them to run the football. I think if you saw how it shook out last year, Theo Riddick was the number 1 running back because he ran the ball the way we wanted to play the game last year. So that will be the number 1 running back. All the other backs will have a role within the offense. It could be pass catching, it could be protection, it could be a little bit of both. Somebody that can do all those things. It could be a third down back, it could be a guy that gets us that tough yard. But the number 1 clear back will be that guy that runs the ball the most effectively and is truly the best running back. That has yet to be determined.
Brian, is it fair to say ball security also weighs into that because you spent some time with the running backs this season?
Yeah, it's just there's the day that you guys were out there, we didn't have a good day with ball security. Ball security to me is, central to what we've been teaching here. And if we put the ball on the ground, we're not going to be a very good offense. So just happened to be, when you talk about a disciplined football team, you're talking about ball security. And so it's just a coincidence that you guys were out there when I was hot about a particular topic.
Brian, could you talk individually about Zach Martin and Chris Watt? What kind of makes them so valuable to your team?
Well, Zach Watt's the best offensive tackle in the country, in my estimation. So that puts him in that category. And he's the best offensive tackle because his athletic ability, his strength, his understanding of the position, what he does for our team, the way he teaches and leads. So he's the best offensive tackle. And he works so well because of a guy next to him that he knows so well and has had so many reps together in Chris Watt. Chris is a different player. Chris is much more straight line, physical, knock you in the mouth kind of player. Zach can play that style. If you watched him against Alabama, he played that way. but he can be a guy out in space and screen. So they're a great complement to each other. But I think more than anything else, they're just really, really good football players. They're two of the best linemen in the country.
They've both been so durable. I mean, they've started all 39 and knock on wood, but that's
Yeah.
pretty important too.
Yeah, well, they take great care of themselves. They're committed to being in great shape and taking care of all the things that they need to off the field as well. They live the right way. If they didn't, if they weren't concerned with that, then they would be more susceptible, but they take care of themselves. So.
Brian, how do you see the right side of the line developing, and was Lombard and Stanley, the way you had them today, a new look, or is that something you've been looking at?
No, that was the first day. Yeah, that was first day. Connor's been in there. He had a neck strain, so he had the day off today. He should be back tomorrow. We're still sorting that right side out. You know, Lombard, Hanratty, Stanley. I think I mentioned in my opening press conference that's a fluid situation. We're only 4 days into it. We're still work in progress over there. But it's going to be one of those three guys in whatever that assortment may be. Lombard at guard, Stanley at tackle, or Hanratty at guard, Lombard, Stanley at tackle.
Amir Carlisle, what do you like about his versatility and the way that he fits into the offense?
I like his versatility. He catches the ball very well. He's got a burst. Very smart. Knows the playbook. You know, one of the big things is can you go out there? Versatility is great if you can handle it, right? You know, I mean, you could say, hey, I want you to be versatile and play all these positions, but if you can't handle it, then you can't be versatile. I think what makes him the player he is that he can handle those dual roles. So I think you start with he's a very smart kid. You know, you first look at him and you say, well, he's not a physical kid. He's 200 pounds. He's almost 200 pounds. You know, he's 192 and he's solid. And he's running inside out. He can catch the football. So smart and has the skill set to play at multiple positions.
Brian, how about the freshman running backs and throw Mahone into that mix of what you've seen from?
Really pleased. Probably more pleased with that group than any. You know, you got guys that can help us win right now. Greg Bryant can help us win. Will Mahone had a great offseason. He's had a great camp. He's playing a little bit more in the slot. We're getting the ball to him. He's got very good ball skills. We didn't even know how good his ball skills were until we started to put him in the slot a little bit more. He's come on. He's probably been one of those guys in the first few days that has caught our attention. You probably saw in the scrimmage he had a very elusive run. He runs with low pads. So, yeah, we got a lot of depth there, and guys that can help us win.
TJ had that breakout last year where he was more than just a complimentary receiver. Is that something you can see from Tavares this year or somebody else in the receiving corps?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Daniels will be a legitimate BCS wide receiver. He will be a guy that you'll have to pay attention to. He's doing a great job of running vertically. Getting the football to him will be important, especially vertically. Him and TJ, I think I alluded to it. I think we're going to have great balance, probably the best balance in the wide receiving corps since I've been here across the board.
Same with the tight end position. I mean, Troy at 270 doesn't look that.
Yeah, and I don't want to take for granted that Troy Nicholas, is somebody that we just, hey, you got Troy Nicholas. He's working to get better every day too, because he didn't have a lot of opportunities with Eifert, but he's a guy that I think can only get better, and Ben Koyak and Alex Welch have really shown themselves. We have a lot of weapons. We got a lot of guys that can help us win, and it's just so early, I mean, it's 4 days. We're 4 days into it. We got a lot of good players. We got depth. We just got to keep grinding away and see where it all shakes out.
Brian, how do you evaluate what Tommy Reese has done to this point?
I think a couple of things that stand out. He's kept some plays alive that he has not been able to do in the past. you know, he's turned some negative plays that he's had in the past into 0 or +5 or 7, and that might not sound much to you, but if it can keep you out of 3rd and long, you know, when you get into some tougher situations, that's huge for us in terms of managing games. So I think that's been good for us. He's thrown the fade in the short field much better. That was a bit of a weakness for him. I think he's worked hard on that. But I think by and large, you know, just the gradual of improvement from last year to this year is we've seen it. We've seen it. I mean, you know, he still has a lot of things that he wants to improve on, and we want him to improve on, but he's definitely made improvements.
Your starting defensive lineup here, Set, Schwenke, and Springman have played a little bit. How deep do you think you can go up front?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a battle there, you know, probably for, you know, the defensive end position. You know, who is the 4th player? That's not going to be decided for a while. I think Kona has done a very good job. I would tell you Tyler Stockton had a better spring than Kona did, but Kona's come in great shape and has had. Now again, we're 4 days into this, Tim. So I mean, I could change what we've seen, but his first 4 days have been very good. Kona's taken reps with the 2s, but you know, we expect him to continue to progress there. But you know, I think we're going to be in a pretty good position at the defensive line position. You know, 4 and 5. You know, that's going to be really competitive.
Jerron Jones, Isaac Rochelle.
Those are the 3 guys you just mentioned. They're all competing for, you know, 3, 4, 5 right now. It's very, very competitive, and I would not give an edge to any of them right now. It's extremely competitive.
Coach, you mentioned just being days into this. Where are you guys? Where is this group, you know, 5 days in from where you would have expected them to be? Are they where they're at or where they should be?
Some of the best competitive practices that I've coached in a long time. Now, we haven't played a game, and I'm not saying that equals 13 wins, but I've coached a lot of football, and it's been very competitive. It's fast football. It's as fast as I've seen here at Notre Dame. I hope that translates into winning football. You still got to put points on the board and stop people, but the practices have been intense, competitive. There's depth. There's young players that are going to play for us. There's veterans that are going to play for us that have seen a lot of football. It's a good mix.
Brian, what do you think the team got out this week away from campus? Is that something you think you guys could do moving forward again?
Yeah, I mean, look, we wanted the focus to be on themselves. I think they learned that you can, in fact, survive without social media and a television. And they did make it through 4 days without it. And that opportunity to work on themselves and the coaches to be part of that process was a great jump start on 2013. And not talking about Manti Te'o and the Alabama game and what happened last year and all that other. We were able to focus on this year and ourselves, and that's a good thing. And it was a good 4 days for us, and we got really good practice. You know, we got 4 really good days, and again, like I said, I think the emphasis there was on this team and on the individuals, and they were able to focus on themselves and their teammates and their coaches, and that was the focus, and I think we achieved that.
Brian, you know, coming out of spring, I think Elijah Shoemate's charge was to figure out where to line up everybody, line up himself, and that was going to determine a long way what kind of safety was going to be for you. Where is he with that?
He's still learning. You know, he's getting better every day, but there's still competition back there. You know, what we have to do is we have to put the best players on the field. And so, you know, we're still working as coaches to put the best players on the field based upon, I think Al asked the question, who's the best running back? Well, the best runner of the ball. So you got to get the schemes to fit the best runner of the ball. Well, that's the same thing with the best players, and that applies to Elijah Shoemate. And so we got to make sure that we're going to put the best 22 guys on the field and get the schemes to fit them. Well, I'm not going to change the schemes until I know who the best 22 are. So we're still in that process, and that's what this is all about. This camp is evaluating those guys and finding out what they can do. If a guy struggles with a particular play or coverage, do you just keep the player coverage in, or do you throw it out because maybe they do this better and they're a better player? So, we're in that process right now. So there's a lot of tweaking and moving around, but he's a gifted player, but he's got some competition. Barati, Collinsworth, Hardy, Max Redfield's really shown up. We've had some young guys really show up, and those guys are competitive as well. Thanks, everybody. Great.